Hello everyone, welcome to the Friday Night Curry Club. Welcome to my kitchen. I hope everybody's well. Lovely to have you join me. We're going to wait a little while, make sure everybody tunes in. I know that a few of you have been waiting already in the wings, which is lovely to see. Another Friday. Amazing. So we are going to be cooking a delicious dish tonight. It's really fragrant, it's really aromatic, and I'm going to show you how to put it all together as always. But before we do all of that stuff, I love it when I get to say hello to all you guys, because I know there's so many of you out there, so many of you from across the world that are tuning in, taking time out of your busy schedules, and I really do appreciate it. So welcome. As always, we are going to be cooking live, so those of you who are cooking with me, I love it when you tell me what you're doing. Give me a shout out, let me know how you're getting on, let me know if you have any questions or anything as you're going through. For those who are watching, lovely to have you as well. Hopefully at some point you will join us in the whole cooking process, but whether you're watching, whether you're taking notes, whether you're going to cook it tomorrow, whether you are going to cook live with me tonight, I do really appreciate you joining in. Okay, so first of all, I would like to say a huge hello to everybody who is joining in and tuning in from across the world. So we're going to take a few minutes to give you all a big thumbs up and a big hello. How are we doing? Have we got some hellos coming in?
We have Gail and Anne, who are separate but in California.
Hello Gail, hello Anne, you're both in California, so welcome, thank you for joining me.
Yvonne in Cape Town.
Yvonne in Cape Town, hello, how are you? I hope things are good over in South Africa. I hope things are ticking along. I don't know where you are in terms of lockdown and stuff, but I hope you're well and I hope you're safe.
We've got Susan from Trinidad and Tobago.
Yay, we've got some more Trinidad and Tobago people. Welcome, lovely to have you join. Thank you for tuning in. It's great to have you on board.
We've got Alan down the road in Gatwick.
Hello Alan in Gatwick, literally down the road.
We've got Lois is here again. Glad to be back from Oz.
Hi Lois, all the way from Australia. Lovely to have you join us. It's amazing to just hear all these countries and all these people and everyone sort of pinging up. Amazing. Welcome. Thank you for joining us again. It's great to have you with us.
Caroline and Richard, who are in Germany again.
Hello Richard. Hello Caroline, both in Germany. Welcome. Welcome to my kitchen. Great to have you on board too.
Anne, who's saying hello from Calgary in Canada, who is eating her breakfast and taking notes.
All the way from Calgary in Canada, and welcome. Take notes. You can watch the video again later, because as soon as we go live, as soon as we finish, the video then gets uploaded so you can watch. And for those of you who don't know, I know a lot of people, after we do a live stream, a lot of people then come back to watch it, which is amazing. And when you're not part of the live stream, a lot of people just want to know how to cook the dish. For all of the dishes that I cook, there is just the recipe video, or there is just the recipe on the website. So you can either go to the website, go to the app, and you can just watch the video if that's what you want, just the recipe video. For those who like to rewatch the live, that's amazing too. So, okay.
We've got someone from Vegas and also Stefan from Slovakia.
We've got someone from Vegas, baby. God, haven't been to Vegas for many years. Love it. Amazing part of the world. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. And we've got someone from Stefan from Slovakia. Hello. Welcome. Okay. So today, I thought I'd keep it a little bit simple. I've got to apologise as well. I know I was a day late in posting the dish and all of that kind of stuff. My apologies. A few techie issues that we had behind the scenes, so I didn't get around to doing it until the Thursday, but I hope those of you who are cooking, please do let me know if you're cooking. And one thing that I do ask you to do is take little pictures, take pictures of me on your screen, take pictures of what you're doing, take pictures of the spices, just so that you can document that journey. And I love it when you share those with me afterwards. And if you share them with me on Instagram or through my app, I will then reshare them, and just, it's just lovely to see so many people cooking and enjoying the dishes. Okay, so we are doing a dish called Chettinad Chicken. It's from the Tamil Nadu region of India, and it's quite a distinct dish in terms of its flavours. Very much sort of that south style of dish, that south key ingredients from that south sort of region, and I'll talk you through all of that in a minute. And then we'll get cooking, and hopefully we can start to get some of the aromatics and the aromas that are so key from that region coming through if you are cooking with me. Before that, happy Friday. Oh, that's quite nice. Ease you into the weekend. Okay, just to walk you through what I've got here. I shared the recipe with all of you, just to let you know all the ingredients that we need, and as always what I try to do is share a vegetarian option with you as well, because what I want you to sort of take away is that it's, when you cook Indian food, you can make up a masala or a dish or a tadka or a base sauce or whatever, but you can add whatever, more often than not, you can add whatever else you like to that. So if you are a vegetarian, you know, you can use chickpeas, you could use marrow. So marrows and chickpea together, a sort of quite a delicious combination. But aubergines, anything like that that's quite robust, that's going to sort of slowly cook down, is really nice for this dish. So in terms of the flavours of this dish, I said it's those sort of key South Indian flavours. So coconut, I'll be using coconut oil. If you've got coconut oil, you can use that. If you haven't, then just some oil is fine. Coconut itself, we're going to be using. So I've got here some desiccated coconut, and I know it was a big sort of question when I posted the dish. What kind of coconut? Is it fresh? Can I use frozen? Is it desiccated? So there are, you know, coconut you can get in all kinds of different forms. If you can get hold of fresh and you can grate it, amazing, you can use fresh stuff. If all you've got hold of is just desiccated and you've got some in your cupboard in the kitchen, that's fine too. Don't ever feel that you can't sort of tweak things and add other things in to sort of make that dish, or add those flavours to that dish. If you haven't got the exact ingredient, we can sort of play around with stuff. So I'm using desiccated coconut. The other key sort of aromatics for this dish, there's lots of dry spices going in here, and we're going to make up a marinade, not a marinade, but a ground spice blend that we're going to be using, and it's going to be really, really lovely and really aromatic. The other sort of key aromatics are these things: star anise. Now, if you've got star anise there, have a little smell. They should remind you of licorice, that sort of aniseedy, very gentle anise flavour. I love these. These are a really lovely way to sort of infuse some of that sort of dark licorice flavour, but it's not a heavy flavour that they sort of put into that dish. So we've got star anise, which is another key ingredient. The other one that I want to talk to you about is this. So this is, can you see? These are poppy seeds. And poppy seeds you can get as white poppy seeds, which are these seeds. You can also get them in a lot of European countries as blue poppy seeds, and they're used a lot in breads and that kind of thing. In India, or in certain regions in India, they're used in lots of different ways. So you can soak them, and you can actually use that as your whole sort of dish, and you can cook a whole curry just based around poppy seeds. They are also used as a thickening agent, so you can blitz them down, you can use them as a thickening agent. They are very gentle in their flavour. They don't really have a flavour as such, but they're used a lot in sort of South Indian style cooking. So that's what I mean by poppy seeds. They're these white poppy seeds, just so that you know. Okay, So those are the key ingredients, and then the other bits and pieces that I've got here, I've got some salt, obviously, I've got some lime. So this dish is about that aniseed and that zing, and that's going to come from the lime at the end. I've got some coriander that will be going on at the end as well. I've got some fresh tomatoes. I've got my ginger, my garlic, and of course curry leaves for this sort of style of cooking, this South Indian dish. That's what we've got.
Yvonne has asked, are they the poppy seeds the same as sesame seeds?
So poppy seeds and sesame seeds are very different. Sesame seeds are sesame seeds. They're much bigger, and they have a very distinct flavour. So these are much smaller. If I put it on my hand, I don't know if I can show you, if you'll be able to see, but they are very, very small. Sesame seeds are much bigger, and they have a slight sort of nutty flavour. These have a slight nutty flavour, but they are very, very different. We're going to be using these in our sorry, I keep saying marinade, in our spice mix. So they are different. So I've talked about all of those things. We've got the coconut, I've got my onions, I've got my tomatoes, and then I'm just going to very quickly talk you through what I've got here in terms of my spices. So I have got some cassia or cinnamon. If you have cinnamon, that's fine, but I'm using cassia. My Kashmiri chilies, which are these beautiful little chilies here. And then in my spices here, I've got fennel seeds. So fennel seeds are going to be very much about that aniseedy flavour. I've got some cumin seeds for a little bit of warmth. I've got a little bit of zing from my coriander seeds, and then I've also got some cloves and some green cardamom as well. Oop. Just so that you can see there. So those are my spices. So the first thing we are going to do is we're going to toast those spices. So I'm going to pop up my frying pan on. So is everyone who's cooking ready and ready and raring to go? First thing we're going to do is we're going to toast our spices. Just going to pop them into a dry pan, no oil, no nothing, just to get those aromatics and get the natural oils that are in those spices. Just bring them to the surface, and as soon as you can smell it, then we are going to take them out. We're going to let them cool. It's really important that you let your spices cool once you've toasted them, because if you don't, when you grind them up, there's obviously moisture in there. So let them dry, let them cool, and then we'll add them to our blender.
His poppy seeds are black.
Yeah, so poppy seeds, obviously you can get lots of different poppy seeds. You can use those poppy seeds, you can use the black poppy seeds, but they will make your dish slightly darker in colour, but that's okay with this dish. And the reason for that is this is quite a dark, deep and moody dish, so it's fine. If that's what you've got, then black poppy seeds are fine.
And then Martin's asked, have you got a keema naan recipe in the pipeline?
So I've got a keema naan recipe already on the website, and it's in the app as well. So there's already one there, so you can have a look. For those of you who don't know with the app, because I got a few questions this morning, there's I posted a few new recipes recently, and people couldn't find them. If you are in the app, there is a section that you can go to search and save. So if you go to the search section, you literally type in what you're looking for, and you can then tap on the big red heart, and it means it saves it into a file. So any of the recipes that you use all the time, or recipes that you really like, you can save them into your own personal sort of filing section. So make sure you have a look at that.
Richard has asked, Harry, is it your birthday tomorrow?
Oh my. Do I know you, Richard? Do I know you? How do you know yes, it's my birthday tomorrow. It certainly is. Oh, that's a bit weird. Okay.
And then Mike said, are there different types of Kashmiri chilies? Mine look a lot smaller, so would I need to use a couple more?
Kashmiri chilies can vary in size. Depends how spicy you like it. The Kashmiri chilies won't add a lot of heat and a lot of spice. If they are particularly small, then you can chuck a couple more in. That's absolutely fine. So in my pan, I've got my, I can show you, I've got my chillies in there, I've got my cassia bark and my cloves, and I'm just going to crack open my cardamom, just with my nail, just pop that in there, and there we go. So if you want to start getting your spices into your dry pan, no oil, and then I'm going to add those in, those fennel seeds, coriander seeds, cumin seeds, a teaspoon of each, and then start to just let them toast. And all you are doing by applying heat, and we've talked about this before, applying heat to your spices, you are just getting those natural oils that sit within those spices to just come to the surface. And then as soon as you can smell them, you know that they are doing what you want them to do. With the chilies, just might need to give them a little encouragement, a little press. And with your cinnamon or your cassia, just make sure that you break it up a little bit, because we're going to be grinding all of this together. So you don't want to put too much pressure on your grinder. You want to help it along a little bit. Okay, so I can smell. Can you see? Oh, it smells amazing. Oh, lovely. Now, what's really, really important is as soon as your spices are toasted, you know they're ready because you can smell them. You just need to make sure you pop them into a little bowl. Don't leave them in the pan. Your pan is hot. If you leave them in your pan, they will continue to sizzle away and they will burn. So just make sure you decant and pop them into a little bowl. Okay, that's it. So I'm just going to pop my pan over here. Actually, I'm going to use that later, so I'm just going to bring that over. So are we all at the same place so far? So these are my spices. I'm going to just have to put my hands in just to show you. Oh, they smell amazing. Honestly, have a little, oh, yum. They smell delicious. Right, I'm still interested to know if I know you, Richard.
He doesn't.
You don't know me. Oh, how do you know?
Super fan.
Super fan.
Peter's asked, I'd like to know how you understand spices.
How I understand spice. Now that is a question. I suppose when you have grown up always using them and always adding them to your food and always tweaking and playing, I guess it just becomes second nature. It's like anything. The more you do something, the better you get at it. And also a little bit of interest, I guess, and just reading about stuff and finding out what they do. And one thing that from all of the sessions that I teach and things that I've taught in the past, it's quite evident that people don't taste spices, so they don't actually know what it is that the spices are adding to their food. So I would urge you all to have a little taste of all of your different spices so that you understand the flavors that they are putting into your dishes. Okay, so spices are cooling away. We're going to grind those up in a pestle and mortar. Not a pestle and mortar. I'm going to do it in my spice grinder because otherwise it'll take the whole session. So those are sitting there. Whilst that is cooling down, let's get our onions ready. So I'm using 2 onions here and I'm going to slice them nice and thin. Lengthways, just get them nice and thin and ready to go into my pan. And we can do our tomatoes a little bit later, but let's get our onions and bits and bobs ready to go in. Right, do you know what I haven't done? I didn't add, because my poppy seeds were in a different bowl, I didn't toast those, so I need to toast them. I'm going to do that whilst I'm chopping up my onions. So it should have gone in with my spices, but that's okay. See, we all make mistakes, it's fine. So I'm just going to toast those off. The pan's hot, it's not going to take very long. So just get your onions ready. Now this dish, I know a few of you have already tried it, and in fact quite a few people have come back saying it's one of your favourite dishes, which is really lovely to hear, because it is really aromatic, it is really fragrant, and actually when I first put the dish out, I didn't think it would be one that would be a favourite of many people, because it's actually quite, it's not a curry as such, in that it's not got lots of gravy, it's not got a sauciness to it, it's quite a dry dish. But what I will say to you is, if you prefer your curries to have lots and lots of sauce, you can then add a little bit of water at the end just to get that sauce going. It is primarily up to you, but generally it's slightly under, it's a much thicker sort of sauce as opposed to what a lot of curries are known for. Okay, so I'm going to add into my pan, I'm going to put my coconut oil. So just a nice big spoonful goes in, and my poppy seeds are lovely and toasted. See, seconds, take seconds. Now when those poppy seeds add a really, really lovely nuttiness to it. You can't see it, can you? Because it keeps tumbling down to the bottom. Anyway, we'll see it all when it goes in. So my oil is being heated. As those spices cool down, I'm just going to break up a little bit more of my cassia.
What is the benefit of slicing onions in that way?
There's not a benefit. So whenever I chop my onions, I just think about the dish that I'm trying to get to. With this dish, as I said, it's not very saucy as such. I want these onions to sort of caramelize, but also when the meat goes in there, I want them to sort of just wrap themselves around that and break down and be really unctuous, as opposed to cooking down a masala, like a thick Punjabi style masala where you've got nicely finely diced, so that you get so it all breaks down, you get a really thick sauce. So that's why I do them like this for this particular dish. So just think about what you're wanting to end up with at the end of your cooking, and that should inform how you go through that whole process. Okay, so my onions are going to go into the pan in a minute. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my curry leaves in there, and again, same thing, they'll go in, they will sizzle. Then I'm going to put my star anise in, and that is going to essentially, it's just going to make that base oil really aromatic with those lovely aromas. So that's going in. Give that a little stir. Now, if you're using fresh curry leaves, as soon as they hit that oil, they will sizzle, and then you know you're ready to go in with your next ingredient. So I'm just going to keep an eye on them. So mine are fresh, but they're fresh and they've been frozen. So getting hold of curry leaves in the UK at the moment is a very, very tricky thing to do, because of shipment of various things from India is not happening as it should be, for various reasons, as we all are fully aware. Okay, so that goes in, and then my onions are going to go in.
Where did you get your grinder? It's a really good size.
My grinder, so this grinder, I get lots of questions about my grinder. This grinder here, is that the one we're talking about? So this is a Cuisinart, I don't know how many times I say this, it's a Cuisinart nut and spice grinder. And the reason that I use it is that these I've got two of these, so it comes with two, and they can twist in and out. It's great for spices because it just means that your spices can be ground down really, really fine. I also use it for chutneys. I use it for all kinds of different things. So I will be using that for my spices.
Someone's asked, doesn't adding more water to get a gravy up dilute the spice level? If so, what would you do to bring it back up?
So it shouldn't dilute it, and the reason it shouldn't dilute it is because when you add your water, you add it at the right time. If you have cooked with me before, one of the key things that you need to take away from the sessions is that you do not add water. When you're cooking your meat, you don't add it at that point, because all of the flavour and all of the deliciousness comes from the meat or the ingredients that you're using, comes out into the dish. When your dish is finished, you then add your water to it, because by that time you've got a really reduced, thick, amazing masala. Okay, so my onions are in. I'm going to just start to pop my spices in here. So I'm going to get the chillies in. I'm going to get the rest of the spices in, and then I'm going to toast the coconut and get that in as well. So just literally blitzing it all up. So my temperature is, whenever you get your onions in at the beginning, you have your temperature up really, really high. And the reason for that is what you're trying to do is draw off all the moisture that's in the onions. And then as they start to get a little bit translucent, you then turn it down. So this dish is a really nice deep dark dish. So the aim is that we get our onions to a nice dark golden colour, because that's where the depth comes from, that's where the flavour comes from.
Margaret said, your recipe says roast the spices and coconut and then grind.
Yeah, so you can do it all together, that's fine. I just sort of thought I'd show you in little steps. You can put everything in together. The coconut will go a nice goldeny colour, and then you just blitz it all together. That's absolutely fine. That's exactly what the recipe says. So yeah, if you've already done that, brilliant, that's fine. Made a nice paste. Perfect. Well done. Amazing. Right, so whilst I'm still grinding that, I'm just going to get my coconut in. When your paste is all nicely ground, you'll start to get those lovely sort of that coconutty, earthy sweetness that comes from coconut is amazing. I'm just going to use a different spoon. Yum, it's smelling good. So how many people are using, are you cooking with meat? Is anyone using any veg options? If you are, let me know what you're using. If you are using a different kind of meat, please do let me know, because it's always good to hear what you guys are cooking, because it's just interesting to see what's happening around the world. Okay, so that's looking good. I'm just going to show you. There's no real colour at the moment, but that's what we are looking at. So let that keep doing what it needs to do. Now with your coconut, as you toast coconut, can you see how it changes colour? So it starts to get really nice and golden. And it starts to add a little bit of nuttiness. So keep an eye on it. And that's why I just wanted to show you slightly separately, so that you can see how quickly even coconut will burn very, very quickly. Okay, it's looking good. It should also, in your kitchens right now, be smelling pretty impressive. There we go. Take a little photo of that. So your coconut should smell pretty delicious at the moment, because it gets nutty, but it gets that sweetness. Done? Lovely. Okay. So I'm going to turn that off, because I don't want that to go any darker. I'm going to carry on with my spice blitz. Right, so that's what it looks like without the coconut added in there. You see, and that red colour is coming from the Kashmiri chilies. Sorry, I'm just choking on it because I've just taken the lid off and the chilies have caught the back of my throat. But once you've ground your spices, that should smell really quite impressive. Yum. Right, so I'm going to add my coconut. If you've already done this, brilliant, don't worry. I'm just catching up with you. That in there. So it was about 50 grams of coconut that we've added. Yum. Keep an eye on your onions. Turn that temperature down a little bit. If it's starting to get a bit of colour to them, just turn it down a little bit. Right, I'm going to grind up my coconut as well. And this is where the moisture is going to come from. You'll start to end up with a thick paste. So that's what we've got now. So it's thickened it all up. Oh, it smells amazing. Everyone good? Everyone happy? Just going to give it another little blitz. Okay, so if anyone's got any questions, keep those questions coming as well whilst we're cooking. I've got my pestle and mortar here. I've got some ginger and some garlic. Now in the recipe I just say 2 cloves of garlic, which is fine. If you like garlic, you can add more. So it's absolutely fine to do that. I'm just going to use my pestle and mortar and just bash up my ginger and garlic, because as my onions are starting to get ready, I'm going to add the ginger and garlic in there as well. Right, any questions, guys? This is your opportunity to ask. I'm still intrigued as to how you know it's my birthday tomorrow. 21 again. Well, that's what I keep telling the kids anyway, and they believe me. They tell me they believe me. Okay, so is everyone getting their ginger and garlic all bashed up? So this is why I say, and I say this all the time, if you have a pestle and mortar, in fact a few of you have told me that you've been out and bought pestle and mortars recently. If you have a pestle and mortar, keep it out on your work surface, because you can use it for stuff like this, you can use it for your spices, you can use it for all kinds of things.
Steve is using coconut milk. Should he use about half a can or less?
So coconut milk is going to give you a very different texture to this dish. The reason that we're using coconut, as in dried coconut or fresh coconut, it's because this dish is it's drier in its flavour. So it's, I don't know how best to describe it. So you get quite a dry, it's not a sauce. If you're using milk, it will give you more of a sauce and a gravy that's slightly sweeter. So for if that's what you use, it's absolutely fine. I'm not criticising at all, but you would add it later on. So just keep hold of that for the minute. When your tomatoes go in and that all sort of starts to break down, that's when you can add your coconut milk. Please take a photo. I'd love to see what your dish looks like at the end, because I'm sure it's going to be amazing. Okay, so my onions have started to get a little bit of colour to them. Now I'm going to add my ginger and garlic. You know me, I don't like to waste anything, so I'm going to get every little bit of that ginger and garlic out of my... Do you want to see what it looks like first? Look, make me do some weights. That's what it looks like. So that's ginger and garlic just bashed up. And remember, I always say, yep.
Would fine zesting garlic and ginger be alright?
Fine zesting ginger and garlic. So you, in terms of almost like grating it, is that what you mean? That's fine. If you haven't got a pestle and mortar, that's fine. You can just chop it up really nice and finely. You can grate it, you can put it in a blender, whatever you want to do. Just grind it up and get that into your pan.
What is the difference in outcome in pestle and mortar and grinder or a food processor?
It's a really interesting question in terms of why grind, why use pestle and mortar. So it really depends. For me, it depends on the dish. There is a difference, but I think in this day and age, you've got to use whatever you are comfortable with. So sometimes I'll chop up my ginger and garlic, and it comes back to what am I looking for at the end of the cooking process. So sometimes I want a really nice smooth sauce, so then I will tend to use my blender to get a nice sort of blitz on that, or I'll chop it up really, really finely, and I'll try and make a paste. If I'm looking for something a little bit more chunky, then I'll slice things differently. The other thing that's different, so when you use a pestle and mortar, so when I was growing up, for example, my mum would use the pestle and mortar, and it wasn't like, so that you can get all different kinds of pestle, but there's flat ones that you make pastes with, and she would make chutneys with a pestle and mortar. And when you taste a chutney that's been made in a pestle and mortar, it takes a hell of a long time to bash up all the mint leaves and all of the whatever it might be that you're putting in there. It takes a long time, and it's really quite a workout to do that. But when you taste that compared to something that you do in a blender, it does have a different flavour because of just the way that the mechanics and the way that you've broken down those cells. It is very, very different. So there is a difference, but that being said, you've got to do whatever suits you in your home. You know, you're not going to spend an hour making a chutney in a pestle and mortar when you've got a blender. So
where did you buy your pestle and mortar?
My pestle and mortar, my mum-in-law bought me that when I got married. I have no idea where it came from. It's just been with me for 19 years now, and I love it. So I can't be any more help than that, but you will find these all over the place. A really good heavy pestle and mortar is a brilliant bit of kit to have. Okay, so my garlic and ginger have gone into my onions as well. I'm going to in a minute put my spices in there, but I'll just get my tomatoes ready.
Using ginger garlic paste, how much would you?
So if you're using ginger garlic paste, you can just put I'd say about 2 nice teaspoons in there. That should be fine. Okay, so tomatoes, I've got 2 tomatoes here, and I'm just chopping them up, dicing them up nice and fine, and those are going to go in a minute until they break down and cook beautifully. So is everyone at the same stage? Are we all pretty much doing what we're all supposed to be doing, which is good? So in terms of the meat that I'm using for this dish, I'm using thigh and leg meat that's on the bone. I love using meat on the bone, chicken on the bone, because I just love the flavours that you get from the meat. If you're not using meat on the bone, then this is going to be a much quicker cook. Obviously, if you're cooking some vegetables, depending on what you're doing, it will be a quicker cook. So just bear that in mind when you are cooking. Right, so if I show you what my pan looks like now, and then I'm going to add my spice blend into there. When you add your spice blend, just be careful because you don't want it to catch and burn. So we've got a little bit of colour there. We're starting to get a bit of depth. If you feel like your onions are catching and you don't want them to, just a little splash of water just to help them along is perfect. So I'm going to put my spices in now. So there we go, that's going in. Oh. Yum. Right, so that's gone in. I'm going to give that a little bit of a stir. And now you're going to start to get the aromas, you're going to start to get the aromatics, you're going to start to get those spices and the pungency, and it's just amazing. Do you know what I haven't done is I haven't got my spice tin out. How very naughty of me. So in terms of spices, other spices that are going to go into here, I'm going to put some turmeric in. So my turmeric will go in, and my a little bit of chili powder is going in there as well. So I'm going to add that in a minute. All I want to do is just allow my spices to toast. Now, if you're cooking and you've just done that, can you tell me how amazing does that smell? I want to hear from you. I want you to give a little shout out to the little spices that you've just added, and just think about the aromas, the earthiness. It's delicious. Okay, so I'm going to add my turmeric, just half a teaspoon. I'm going to put a little bit of chili powder in there. Now, if you don't want to add the chili powder because you're not sure how spicy it's going to be, just leave the chili powder out for now. And then when we, once the chicken's cooked, you can have a little taste, and then you can sort of think about what you want to do. I'm going to also season now, so I'm going to add some salt. And my tomatoes are going to go in as well. Give that a good old stir. Now what I'm going to do as well, so my tomatoes are quite dry, so I'm going to add a little splash of water as well, just to help them. I'm going to turn the temperature up because I just want to get those tomatoes just to start breaking down a little bit. And as soon as you add a little bit of water, what you'll see is that the so it's the poppy seeds, it's the spices, that ground spice, because there's quite a lot of spice in there, they will almost start to create a thick paste, and that's all good. And it should have a real nice sort of vibrant reddy orange colour, which I'll show you in a minute. But put a little tiny little touch more just to get that going. Now, as a side dish to this, just some plain rice is amazing. Or you can think about some more sort of the South Indian style breads. And whilst the chicken is cooking, I am going to show you how to do a very quick, what they call paratha, which is it's similar to a paratha, which is a North Indian flaky bread. This is South Indian flaky bread. So I'm just going to show you how to put that together whilst the chicken is cooking. Okay, I'm going to show you inside of my pan. So it's almost, hang on, it's almost like a thick masala, but those tomatoes haven't quite broken down yet. So I am now going to put my chicken into there. I'm going to turn it high, put my chicken in, coat it and then turn it down. I'm just going to let it cook away. So I've got, as I said, chicken on the bone. So I've got thigh meat and drumsticks. Those are going in. A lovely high heat, because what we're doing is we are searing that meat, but we're doing it in the masala in the pan.
Do you use Indian curry powder, which contains spice powders in it, all individually roasted and ground?
So curry powder it's a funny thing. It is genius. So curry powder is a genius invention, and it was all part of, or it came about post British Raj, where a lot of the servicemen that were out there got a real taste for Indian food, but without knowing the combinations and how you put sort of spices together and how you make that masala, the easiest way to do it was just get a bog standard mixture of spices that you use. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I do have some in my cupboard because I will use it when we make some of the Japanese curry sauces and things, but it's not something that I use in my Indian cooking. But I understand that it makes things a lot easier for a lot of people who don't know where to start when they are starting an Indian. So that's brilliant. Really good way to use it sometimes is a bit of mayonnaise. If you're making sandwiches, mayonnaise, a little bit of curry powder in there, and you put your sort of cooked chicken or whatever in there. So it's a great little thing to do. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the inside of my pan. Now, so it looks really dry. There's no sauce in there, there's no anything, because of the thickness of the masala and everything else that's gone in there. Okay, now coming back to the earlier question of when you dilute the flavours of a masala. So once you are at this stage, what a lot of people tend to do is they will now add hot water, or they'll just add water into there and let that just sizzle away and cook away. What you're doing is you are now, if you do it now, you are diluting all of the flavours. What we want to do is we want all the juice and the flavour and the unctuousness to come out of that meat. So what you should do, and the way that I always cook, is once you have coated your meat, you then turn it to the lowest setting, you pop your lid on the pan, and you just let it cook away. And what will happen is the gravy and the sauce and the masala will come from the meat, and that's where you get your delicious flavours from.
Can you explain the difference between curry powder and garam masala?
Yes, I certainly can. So let me just turn this off. So the question is, can I explain the difference between garam masala and curry powder? So curry powder is essentially, as I said earlier, it was a way of making curry easy. So in a curry powder, you have turmeric, you'll have chili heat, you'll have all the different spices that would have been added to that dish, but they're all in a powder. And what a lot of people tend to do is they'll brown their meat, they'll chuck the curry powder in, maybe put some tomatoes or whatever, and there's your curry. So it's a real, what's the word I'm looking for? A really easy way to make a curry. Garam masala is a spice blend, and it comes from the north of India. And the way that you use garam masala is once your dish is complete, so once you've done all of your different spices and you've added your tomatoes and you've got that curry is done, garam masala is a blend of, and it depends where your family comes from. My personal one, which is this one, so this is the blend that I make, this is the blend that my mum taught me how to make. It's a blend of about 9 different spices, and you add it once your dish is finished and it's complete and you're just about to serve it. And the purpose of garam masala, so garam means warm, masala means spice blend, so it's a blend of warming spices. It doesn't have turmeric in it, it doesn't have chili powder in it. It's a blend of different ingredients that bring everything that you've put in your curry together, and just as you're carrying it to the table, you're getting these amazing aromas. So it's all about enticing you to the table. So they're 2 very, very different things, and they're used in very, very different ways. I hope that's answered your question. Right, so I'm just going to clear a bit of space whilst the chicken is doing its thing. Now, one of the things that people always worry about when I say this to them, that you just leave it, you let it cook, you let it do what it needs to do. People panic and they think, oh, it's going to burn, it's going to catch on the bottom of the pan, which I understand, but we're going to keep on looking at it, and I'm going to keep showing you that actually you will get a gravy coming from it, and it'll come from the meat itself. Okay, is everybody still on track? Yeah? I'm going to move this over. I'm going to show you this other dish whilst the chicken is cooking. So if you are cooking with me, have you all...
Is your garam masala recipe on the app?
My garam masala recipe, so if you go to... is it on the app? So if you go to my website, there's go to the blog section, and if you I'll start again. If you go to the website and search for the Wonder Spice, there's a blog on there, and I've put together my recipe of how I put my garam masala together, and it's got all the it's got the step-by-step instructions, and it's got exactly what I use in my garam masala blend. So just go and have a look on there. Right, I'm going to have a little wipe down, and we are going to have some fun. I'm just going to show you this, and I know I haven't talked about it in the build up to today, and there is a reason for that. One, I don't have this recipe on the website yet, so I just wanted to show you these Indian breads, but I don't have it on the website, so I couldn't refer you to anything. And secondly, I've never made them before, so this could be a complete and utter disaster. But hey ho. Right, just looking back at your chicken, keep an eye on it, keep it moving every now and again. It's looking and it's smelling amazing. Right, so I'm going to talk you through what I've done here. So for those of you who have been on my live cook-alongs before, we've done paratha before. I've shown you how to do rotis. This is called a paratha, and it's essentially what it is. It's an Indian flaky bread, but it's a South Indian flaky bread. And they make them in a slightly different way. So what I did was just some all-purpose flour, say about 200 grams of just plain flour. Into that I put a tablespoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of salt, and then 2 tablespoons of oil, and just brought that together, and then just kneaded that dough probably for about 7 or 8 minutes, just till it gets really nice and soft. And then I covered it up and I popped it to one side for an hour and just let it sort of sit. And then after an hour I went back to it and I made up little balls. So just took a little ball amount, made it into a little ball, and then just put them into my bowl here. And then I covered them with some oil. So you should be able to, there's the oil down there. Okay. So they are all little balls of that dough just covered with some oil. Now, these flaky breads they're called barote, and they are like very, very, very flaky. And the whole premise of them is to get them as thin as you possibly can, which is why I've cleared my whole area and all my space. So we are gonna, a little bit of a first. Normally I know what I'm doing, but this time I'm just making it up. And if I have got anybody who is a dab hand at these and has made these in the past, I'd love to hear from you. Okay.
Someone said if you leave the cover, the lid off your masala dabba, will that affect the flavour?
So the whole point of having, so the way that I've got it now, is that what you're referring to? So I'm using it at the moment, so it's fine. When I have it in my cupboard, I have a lid that goes on top, and then there's another lid that sits on top of that. So that's how it normally sits, but because I'm using it, it's fine. Spices are natural ingredients, and everything that you do in terms of storing them is all about how can you keep their natural oils held inside them for as long as possible. So that's why it's really important that you store them properly. Okay, so back to my patura. No, it's not patura. Baruta, slightly different. So I'm just going to flatten this out. Now this is covered in oil. So we're just going to flatten this out with our fingers. Okay. And you want to get this as thin as you possibly can. Now if you get little holes in it, it doesn't matter. So we want to get this as thin and pushed out as much as we possibly can. And as I said, don't worry if you get holes in it. So once you get to that sort of stage, you're then going to start to pull it out.
Oh my goodness.
Nice and thin. Keep them. So it's like, essentially it's like paper at the moment, really thin. Just keep very gently pulling it out. And as I said, don't worry, we've got a few holes here, that's absolutely fine. Look, can you see how thin that is? Just flatten it all out, all those edges.
Tony's asked, how do you make flatbreads for a dinner party and still manage to enjoy yourself with the dinner?
Do you mean rotis? The best way to do it is you just have to station yourself as the roti maker, and what will be will be. You can enjoy it. One thing you can do is you can make them beforehand. If you can make them beforehand. And what I suggest you do is in between each of the flatbreads, put some butter and then stack them on top of each other and fold them in a nice warm tea towel. And then they will stay warm for quite a while. Otherwise you can just pop them in the microwave, give them like a 10-second blast just to soften them. And then you can dish them out if you don't want to be making the rotis. But that's what we used to do. I can remember doing that. My mum would do it on a daily basis. Okay, so can you see what we've got here? It's just like a big mess. And then all you want to do, look how thin that is. And then essentially you just start to pull in the sides. And there we go. Just becomes like a nice big stretchy bit of dough. And then all you do is just one end, start to scooch it round, nice and thin. roll it round, roll it round, roll it round. So as you're doing it, you sort of wrap, twist and wrap. Okay, and then you poke the underneath bit at the bottom. So that's what you end up with. Can you see? Can you see all the little? Hang on. Okay. Wait. There we go. Can you see all the little? Yeah. I'm going to show you that again. So then I'm just going to pop that to one side, and I'll show you another one. Before I do that, I'm going to check my chicken as well. Right, give it a little. God, every time you take the lid off this, it's so aromatic and so lovely. But what you should see is that it's not catching, it's not burning, it's not doing anything that it shouldn't be doing. It's just cooking away. Okay, so I'm just going to show you another one of these Parathas. So just push, just flatten it out. And as I said, if you get any holes in there, it really doesn't matter. Flatten, and then you then start to pull it out. Try and get as thin as you possibly can. It needs to turn into almost like paper thin. A little bit more. Hello. I'm not sure what happened there. Any one of you technical people know what happened there? No? We seem to have gone dead, and then we're back. I am very sorry about that. I don't know what happened, but I've just been making some more of my Parathas. So just to pick up where I left off, get your dough really thin. And I will be putting these on the website very, very soon, so that I can give you the full recipe. But I just wanted to try them, and I know it's not the most professional thing to do, is to try something you've not done before live, but hey ho, so got to take a risk now and again.
At a restaurant they've been to, the menu they saw paper rotis. Is that one?
No, so that's a rumali roti. That's completely different. I say completely different. Rumali rotis are amazing. They're called handkerchief. So rumali, just handkerchief rotis. They're really thin, and I hope you tried them when you went to the restaurant, because they are amazing. The way that those are cooked are almost over a dome, and they're really, really thin. And the professional guys, they sort of throw them in the air, and then they put them on these domes, and they then fold them up. So that is, again, there's so many different varieties of these rotis. So this is essentially a fried Ghotra. So there we go. So nice and thin, like paper. And then, the idea of these is to get them really, really thin, really flaky. And then you just roll them up, as I said. Okay, so I've done 4 here. I'm sorry you might have missed some of it, but for those who are cooking, how is your chicken looking? How is your dish looking? Even if you've got a veggie dish, I'd love to hear how we're getting on, because mine is looking and smelling really, really good. But what you should see from it is, as it cooks, you should get a little bit of juice in there. If you feel that it's too dry, you can add a little bit of water if you're worried. But in real terms, it should be okay. And I'm going to show you what mine looks like now, just so that you can see. Right, I'm going to give it a stir. But I've got a lot of the juices and the flavour now starting to come through, and it's pretty much done. And I'm going to show you how thick and luscious that looks. Can you see? It's yum. So this dish is more about that mix of spices to give that real lovely unctuousness. Okay, so my tawa is on. If you haven't got a tawa, you can just use a frying pan. So what I'm going to do is just a little bit of oil on my hands, and I'm just going to flatten these balls out. Can you see? I'll put them in front of me so you can see them. Can you see them? Yeah. So all I'm going to do, I've just taken one of those, and I'm just going to use my fingers and flatten it. You can use a rolling pin if you want to, but I'm just going to push them out. Now, with these, you want them, they're not huge, they're not great big rotis. You want them as sort of diddy-ish as you can get them. A little bit more. And there are different ways, obviously, to make anything like this, but as you're rolling it, you'll start to see, you get the little indentations of all the swirly bits that we've just put them in. Now I'm going to keep mine fairly small. So that's the size, if you can compare that to, to my hand. I'm going to keep it fairly small, and I'm just going to roll out the second one. And again, a little bit of oil on your hands will help, so you can just squish it out with the oil. My rolling pin has a life of its own, or a mind of its own. So just squish them out like this. Let's turn them over, a little bit more oil. And if you like Indian breads, which I know a lot of people do, so you know, we sort of hark back to, there are so many different types. Everyone's favourite is your naan, your keema naan, your Peshwari naan. But there are so many more, so many more different types of breads that you can. There you go. Give that a roll. Because this is plain flour, it keeps constricting, which is fine. That's just the nature of the flour. So don't worry. Don't worry that you've got little holes in there. That's what this sort of bread is all about. It's absolutely fine. There we go. So I've got two here. I've got my tawa on, and I'm going to put them on to cook. So I've got one going on there. This one might be a little bit too big because I've rolled it out too big, but that's fine. Let's see if we can get that one on as well. There we go. So I've just put them on my tawa. My tawa is quite hot. You see? Ooh. And I'm going to let them cook. Give my hands a little wash. So how are we doing? If you have been cooking, is yours looking good? Are we in a happy state of affairs, or are you in a position where you're a little bit, not sure how it's going to turn out? So mine is really starting to let those juices come through now, and it's pretty much there. So when you put your burute on your tawa, or on your frying pan or griddle, whatever you're using, initially quite a high hot heat. So what we're looking for is we're looking to sear them, we're looking to get a bit of colour on them, and then we'll turn them, and you can start to see little bubbles appearing. And then what we will do is we'll turn them over, and I'm going to put a little bit of oil on the top of them as they cook, and then we'll turn them over again. But you'll start to see a little bit of just some bubbles coming through, which is what we want. Yum, they look really good. Okay, so if you've been cooking, how are we getting on? We getting any comments, any questions? I'm sure we've lost a few of you with the, don't know what happened with that technical issue. We got people back? Yeah. Got people back, which is amazing. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this over and I'll show you what it looks like on the back. So you can see you've got a bit of colour. That's what we want. So the reason that we put sugar in this dough is because we want to get a little bit of colour on them. So what I'm going to do with these, I'm just going to pour a little bit of oil onto each one. And you can use a pastry brush and just brush it in if you want to. And then this goes back on. Feels like a lot of oil, but you know what? It's Friday night. Most people have probably had quite a tough week. We're allowed to indulge a little bit. I'm all for a little bit of indulgence, bit of exercise during the week, and then a weekend you can relax a little bit. You're allowed to enjoy yourselves. So get those on, and as they cook they'll start to sort of sizzle away. Be so good. And put a little bit more oil on. Yep.
Debbie said, I'm doing fine, just think about making some pakora. We've been given a load of courgettes.
Oh, amazing, Debbie. So guess what? I got given a whole load of courgettes this week as well. And I was thinking, pakora, what should I do? But one of the dishes that I do quite, well, I say quite a lot, whenever we get some fresh courgettes, is my sausage and courgette curry. That's what you want to try. Have a look on the app, have a look on the website. It's a really fun one. It's actually, I was going to say, it's not actually mine. It's a Madhur Jaffrey dish from years gone by, but it is really, really good. But there we go. So I'm going to I've turned them back over. A little bit more oil on the other side just to get them nice and crispy. Need a little bit more oil. I'm going to use this. And then I think my chicken is also pretty much ready. How are you guys doing? Are your dishes almost cooked? If you're cooking, how's the chicken looking? That rhymes. Sorry, made myself laugh there. Got to make someone laugh, I guess. Oh, these look lovely. They look really, really lovely. Crispy, crispy, crispy little paratha. Now you do need to make sure that they cook all the way through. I can see that side, oops, isn't. I'm just gonna let that cook a little bit more. There we go.
Paul says they made your courgette chutney this week.
Oh, courgette chutney, amazing. What did you think? You can't just tell me you've made it without telling me what you think. I really like that courgette chutney with, you know, you can have it on a cheese board, you can have it in a bacon sandwich. Sounds weird, I know, but what did you think? I'd love to hear what you think. Tell me, tell me, tell me. I'm not letting you go until you tell me what you thought of it.
Went down well with friends and neighbours.
Amazing. Oh, that's really good. It's a great, great way to use up courgettes, because if you are a gardener, if you have them in your garden, they all sort of seem to come at the same time, so it's a great way of being able to use them. Right, these are looking good. Okay, whilst that is just finishing off, I'm going to look in my pan here. So these are done. The chicken is looking amazing. Right, I want to show you what I mean by it's not a thick sort of heavy curry, in that it doesn't have a lot of a sauce. So it's not got a lot of gravy. Now once you get to this stage, and your chicken is cooked and you've got that sauce that's come from the meat. If you are somebody who prefers their curry with a lot more gravy, a lot more sauce, then what you do now at this stage, this is when you add your hot water, is what I would recommend, and you get it to the consistency and the thickness that you like. That will not have an impact on the flavour of it. Obviously, if you put buckets and buckets of water in there, it's going to have an impact on the flavour. But if you put in a couple of cupfuls or whatever, however saucy you like it, it will hold and it will be absolutely fine. So just to finish off then, into there what we want to do, which is very important, some fresh coriander, which I'm going to chop up. Now this dish, as I said, it's all about the zing, it's all about those lovely sort of aniseedy flavours.
Could you add coconut water?
So you could add coconut water, yeah, absolutely. You can add coconut water to that. And at this stage, so I can't remember the name of the person who was using coconut milk. Now you add your coconut milk and just heat that through and let that do what it needs to do. So my baruti are done, and I'm just going to bring this back over here. So just to finish this dish off, I'm going to add some coriander, but I'm going to add a good squeeze of lime. The lime's going to go straight in there. Now with lime, obviously it's a very distinct flavour. If you don't like lime, then you can just miss this bit out. It's fine.
Did you slit the chicken drumsticks?
No, I didn't. Because they were quite small, so I didn't need to. Okay, so my lime has gone in, and I'm just going to give that a stir. And then if I could just get... Now at this point, check your seasoning, check if you need to add any salt or anything to that. I'm just going to grab my plate. Now there's a couple of things that you need to do now. So with your parathe, I'm just going to add a little bit of... Now once they're done, what you tend to do is you pile them up, and then with your hands you have to squish them, because that is what is going to make them squishy and soft and flaky and delicious. Okay, they're hot, 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 hot. So then once they are done, you can see inside, you just squish them all up and you can see the layers and layers and layers of lovely, lovely, can you see? Beautifully flaky. So once they're done, you then literally squish them all up with your hands, pop them to the side. And then here we have our amazing, zingy Chettinad chicken. And I'm just going to put a couple of pieces there. I'm going to add some of the sauce, because you need the sauce on there to dip your baruti into. And if you are cooking this, I can't tell you how beautifully aromatic
Someone said,
this dish is.
Can I use tamarind? My lime looks dry and I'm finding it hard to get juice out.
You can use a little bit of tamarind if you would prefer to do that, or if you've got lemon, you can use a little bit of that. That's absolutely fine too. Whoops, I'm making a bit of a mess. But there is my... It's just so good. It's so flavourful. Top that off with a little bit of fresh coriander. I'm going to put a couple of wedges of lime, because you know what, you might want a little bit extra when you've got something so amazing and you've got your fresh paratha on the side. So there is this week's Friday night curry clubs Chettinad chicken, which is aromatic, it's zingy, it's fresh, it's so beautiful, made with some South Indian paratha. Oh, there we go. Let's do it this way. Is that better? Which are soft flaky breads made with plain flour, and the whole point of them is so that you can dip them in. Scoop up that sauce. Oh my God. Oh, you guys are in for a treat. That is delicious. I can't tell you how good that is. So there you have it. How long have we been on? 1/4. Hour and a half.
Got 1,040 people watching.
Amazing. So we've got 1,040 people watching. We may have lost a few when we had, I don't know what happened, a little technical hitch. But thank you for coming back. So there you have it. We've got our amazing South Indian Chettinad chicken, which is zingy and aromatic and beautiful, with some paratha, paratha. I'm going to get it right in a minute. I will share how I made these, and I'll put that on the website for you. And what I will do before I do that is just show you. I took some pictures as I was cooking, so I'll show you how to put them together. But there you have it. So this is another Friday night curry club done and dusted, just in time for you to sit down, have a little drink and chill out. I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, I will ask you, please take some pictures, share your pictures with me on Instagram, share them on my app, share them on Twitter, share them on Facebook, and I will pop them onto my Instagram and I'll share them out as well, just to show people what you guys have been cooking. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've had fun, and I really hope you like this dish because it is amazing. Tell me what you think. Tell me that you enjoyed it. Tell me that you didn't. Whatever you want to share with me, I'm always here and I will always answer you. Give the video a little thumbs up, and please do share the channel with your friends and family, and let's help other people to get cooking and try some fun and delicious